We are in Proverbs chapter 23. We're beginning in verse 15. And this is all part of these words that come in every now and then, just occasionally, of encouraging the son. Continue in this. Listen to me. Look at how I live my life. Do these things. And he says, my son, if your heart is wise, my heart will rejoice. Indeed, I myself. And this goes with the next verse. Yes, my innermost being will rejoice when your lips speak right things. Okay, so here we have, once again, these words of encouragement that are brought in periodically. And my heart, if your heart is wise, my heart will rejoice. So, yep, a good father will rejoice at a wise child. Now, a foolish father might not, maybe not. It's, who knows what. But in chapter 27, verse 11, it says, my son, be wise and make my heart glad. But Proverbs 19 and 13, a foolish son is the ruin of his father. And a wise son makes a glad father, Proverbs 10:1. And so here is this matter of my goal for you is for you to live wisely. For you to live in a way of wisdom, in the way of prudence, in the way of justice, because he's going to be a king. But even for the rest of us who aren't ever going to be a king here, we still can learn an understanding. We can still have an understanding of that of justice and appreciation for it and demand for it, as a matter of fact, and that would be for true justice. Now, we come to verse 17. 17 and 18 go together. Do not let your heart envy sinners. Be zealous for the fear of the Lord all the day. Now, we'll get to verse 18. 18 goes with this one, and it starts with the word for, which would mean that it's connected to the last sentence. It's connected to the last verse. Do not let your heart envy sinners. There's nothing to be envious of. The sinners you may have those who are wealthy, and they're wealthy from doing wickedness. You may have those that it looks like they have no worries whatsoever. It looks like they have achieved everything materialistically, everything you could possibly want, with wealth and a love and fame and adoration and all of this. But if they got there by way of sin, if they got there by way of wickedness, don't envy them at all. And he's going to tell us why in the next verse. For there is a hereafter. We'll get to that word in just a second. I'm reading from the New King James. There is a hereafter, and your hope will not be cut off. Now, here is the reason why you should be zealous for the fear of the Lord all the day. Fear of the Lord means you won't be envious of anybody, and you're definitely not going to be envious of sinners, because they have their time. They have their little time of that season of sin. They have that, and do not think that they are in fact carefree and have no worries and have no concerns and have nothing that is of any bother to them whatsoever, because that's not true. First off, everybody has problems. Everybody. Problems come around. Number two, if you create and invite the problems, you're going to get more problems. You're just going to do it. Someone who is wicked and has all sorts of wealth and all sorts of worldly, earthly things. They have gotten this through wickedness. They are sowing the seeds of wickedness, and they're going to get this steady crop. It's a steady crop of consequences, a steady crop of problems, a steady crop that is just going to affect them always. It's always going to be there. Don't envy them, for surely, and here's a surety, for surety there's a hereafter. Now the ASV says, for surely there is a reward. King James from 1611 says, surely there is an end. The Hebrew for this word, whether it's hereafter or reward or end, means an after part. It does mean end, and it does also have in it this a thing of the latter part, or an actual closing of a matter. The actual closing of a matter. And here is the reason to be zealous for the fear of the Lord all the day. Because there is a hope that you have with the fear of the Lord. There's a hope it won't be cut off. There's a hope that is far greater than anything you can get on this earth or anybody else could get on this earth. And yeah, you live only once. Yep, and actually that's good. As far as I'm concerned, that is good. You live only once. You're tested this one time, and one can have it in their mind, and Satan will certainly insert it into your mind if you let him, of that life is unfair. How is it that I'm trying to live my life right, and here I am just scraping by, having all these problems, and here is this someone else, a millionaire, a billionaire, and got it by way, and I don't mean by honest means, got it by way of wicked means, and they don't seem to have a problem in the world. Everything is just carefree. Everything is just free and easy, and it would be easy to just think things are unfair. I only get one life. I only get one shot, and here it is. And I'm trying to be obedient to God, but why am I not like that person or better than that person? And I remember a man years ago having a discussion with him. I think he was half mad myself, but he actually believed that if you were truly righteous, you would be the wealthiest person on earth. And a nation that was truly righteous would be the most wealthiest nation on earth. All right, well, maybe not. Because you try to show him example after example after example in the Bible, and he just wouldn't accept it. He said, was not Elijah a righteous man? Because I don't have him living in a house. Wasn't Jesus a righteous man? But where was his real estate? All right, where is that? He's the Son of God, and you couldn't reason with him at all. And he just thought that if someone who was phenomenally wealthy had to have been phenomenally righteous. But he never would look at the facts. That's why I think he was crazy. But, all right, so surely there's a hereafter. So there is a hereafter. There is an end. There is judgment. There is death. That's an end. There is judgment. There is heaven, hell. There's the resurrection. There's everyone standing before the judge, standing before Christ. That is a certainty. And the reward is going to be found here. And I'm using that word reward as being the end result. The end result of your life will be there. And the end result, hopefully, is heaven. That's what we're hoping for. But the end result may be hell. All right? But you can know how to make your way into being pleasing to God. You know it because He has given it to us. And being pleasing to God means that you are among the saved. Being pleasing to God, by definition, means obeying the law of Christ in everything. In everything. Now, your hope will not be cut off. You will be rewarded, and not all justice is going to be seen in this life. And as a matter of fact, we have been assured of that. Some justice? Yeah. All justice? No. Not until we have the final judgment. Then it's going to be done. It's going to be absolutely final there. It is completed. But don't envy sinners. Whatever they're doing, whatever they've got, whatever they have that seems greater than you, they're on this fast-moving train. And it may be a sleek train. It may be a beautiful train. The tracks may be smooth. It is this bullet train heading to a cliff. All right? It's that simple. You're going to admire them. Okay, you can admire as they pass by. Don't envy it. Don't envy it. Matter of fact, there should be a matter of pity for them. Now, we go to verse 19. Once again, this is kind of an aside. This is encouragement. Hear, my son, and be wise, and guide your heart in the way. So listen, guide your heart. You're in control. Guide your heart. You are in control. So we're in 23, Proverbs 23, verse 19. Hear, my son, and be wise. Guide your heart in the way. Here, integrity of the upright will guide them. Guide your heart in the way? Yeah, the integrity that is there. Hear, be wise. If you ignore, become foolish. Just fall right into foolishness. It's your choice. Your choice. And in 1 Kings chapter 3, we have where Solomon is asking to be able to judge and to be able to discern good and evil so that he could properly judge over Israel. And God gives him that, and he is very well pleased with that request. He gives him that. Solomon becomes what, until we get to Christ, Solomon becomes the, for a while anyway, the greatest king Israel would ever have as far as material wealth is concerned. All right, I need to make a stipulation. David was a greater king than Solomon, but under Solomon, because of David, under Solomon, there was an extraordinary wealth and power that had been gained already by his father, and it just increased under Solomon. And Solomon had this wisdom that had been given to him by God. And then what does he go and do? He begins playing around with some things, playing around with fire that he should have left alone. Solomon did extraordinary things. Some things he shouldn't have been doing. And he's playing around with fire. He's given wisdom, yet he has his own personal will and can decide what he wants to do. And he is playing around with fire. And I think that there is a bit of self-confidence that he has. I'm not going to say that it's exactly arrogance, but he has a self-confidence that, yeah, others should not do this, but I can handle it. Warnings such as, kings not to be multiplying wives. Well, if he didn't, I don't know who did. I mean, honestly, I think he was going for a world record. But don't multiply your wives. And also, he is getting these what I would call trophy wives, but there also could be called that of peace treaties and agreements. from other nations by taking in this princess and that princess and this from the line of royalty over here. And his house would have been not only, well, they lived in a different place than he did. You think that his first wife, she's Egyptian, that she's going to be okay with all that lot? I don't think so. I don't think so. But it would have been just exotic, really, of these various, no doubt, beautiful women from all these nations, and they are of royal lineage of those nations. And it would just been extraordinary. But he's playing with fire. If you pay attention now and you're doing properly now, then in years to come, you continue in that line, everything's going to be good. You mess up back here, and you continue to mess up back here, well, that's going to have a role come into the future. And while he may have been able to control things when he was younger, clearly Scripture says when he was older, his wives turned his heart from God. And there is the enormous irony of Solomon, that Solomon can give us the book of Proverbs and yet not follow his own advice. All right, that shows we can fail. And it also shows that the Bible does not depict the people found in the Bible. It doesn't depict them as made out of marble or stainless steel, infallible, that everything they did was marvelous and extraordinary and there's no flaw in them. It depicts them as they were, by reality of this is everyone has their own flaws and has to work to correct that. Work to strengthen what is weak. Do that, and don't play around with seeing how close to the edge. We go to verse 20. Here we're continuing in, and we're going to get more later in this chapter. Continuing in the teaching against drinking. Social drinking is wrong. And that is playing around with fire. That is a fierce fire. Do not play around with this. And so here is his advice. This is what he is. This is more than advice. This is directly from God. Verse 20, do not mix with wine-bibbers or gluttonous eaters of meat. For, here we are with the continuation, for the drunkard and the glutton will come to poverty, and drowsiness will clothe a man with rags. Okay, so do not mix with wine-bibbers or gluttonous eaters of meat. Now, Matthew chapter 11 and verse 9. Also in Luke 7 verse 34. What did the critics of Christ say about him? You remember what he says? They called him a glutton and a wine-bibber. That's exactly what they called him. And it was because, first off, when he was at someone's house, they had a feast in his honor. All right, and he's not fasting like John the Baptist, though he had 40 days in the wilderness. I would say that's fasting. They didn't see that. They knew nothing about that. And here they have to say something. They can't help it. And regardless of what he did, if he fasted like John the Baptist, they'd say something against it. They weren't following John the Baptist either, and John the Baptist was fasting. Okay, so, but here is the thing. Do not mix with wine-bibbers. So in Psalm 1:1, what is the what is being spoken of there? Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the path of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful. All right. We also have that of 1 Corinthians 15:33 concerning evil companions or evil company corrupts good morals. Being around, the people you're around will affect you. The people you surround yourself with, now, I can understand if you're at work, those are associates of work. They're not really your friends, but they can still have an effect on you. They can still do it. Now, those who are your friends will have a greater effect on you. You're around the wrong type. You're around a bunch of wine bibbers and gluttons. All right. If that's the case, you think that's not going to affect you. Likely it is that the social pressure will always be there, the pressure to follow in with them. And so here, like the Epicureans from Acts chapter 17, spoken of specifically in verse 18, that it is this seeking of sensual pleasures. That's what it is. And this idea of if something makes me happy, then I will just do more of it. And this would just be the sensual things of life. If having a good meal makes me happy, then I'm going to seek to overindulge in all of this, overindulge in pleasures and habitual self-indulgence. That's what it is. And do not stay with them. And he says, here's the reason, for the drunkard and the glutton will come to poverty. I'll tell you about the drunkard, because I have met them. They can't keep a job. But wine has been popular. I don't know when it wasn't popular. And the fact is that it's like what my dad told me when I was young. He said, if you don't take the first drink, you don't have to worry about the last one. You don't have to worry about it. And we'll come to actually verse 31. Do not look, and here is this sensual, the descriptive words here in verse 31 sound like they're taken from a wine commercial. Do not look on the wine. Okay, that didn't come from a wine commercial. But these descriptive words, do not look on the wine when it is red, when it sparkles in the cup, when it swirls around smoothly. Here is this temptation, this tempting beauty. It has this because everybody does it, it must be okay. When did that ever work? This isn't the law of majority. This is the law of God. And majority does not mean you're right. You might be, but you go to God to find out which side is right, what is right. And with the drunkard had to start somewhere. And when you're playing around with something like that, you don't know. First off, you don't know when you're drunk. All right, that's number one. You don't know when you are. Just because the state of Georgia has a legal limit of how much alcohol you can have in your blood and still not be arrested for driving drunk does not mean you weren't drunk. Just because you were under that limit does not mean if you had any drinking whatsoever, it doesn't mean you weren't drunk. And you're going down a path. How is it that some people become alcoholics and others don't seem to be? They're not. Okay? There's the unpredictable thing about it. Do you want to find out? You don't. Because the next thing you know, you're 60 some odd years old and you have lived your life in the gutter. Alcohol does not improve any situation. Nothing doesn't improve. People are having a great time, introduce alcohol, and things begin to become twisted. Maybe slowly at first, and then the next thing you know, something's happened. Something is in, and I've probably told you this before. In my misspent youth, just so you know, I never drank. In my misspent youth, I did have friends who did drink, and I never liked a single one of them drunk. Not a single one of them. I wanted to be away from their company because they weren't funny anymore. They thought they were, but they weren't. We would have a great time, and then now getting drunk. And now you got one guy who's getting mad at nothing, and another, and others who think that the smallest, little, stupidest thing is funny. Like, never mind. I'm gonna go home. I shouldn't be here anyway. But there's nothing good here. But with the drunkard and the glutton will come to poverty. Well, someone who is overindulging in such pleasures, yeah, they will come to poverty. And for like I said, the drunkard's not going to be able to keep a job. He just can't. He got himself drunk last night, and today he's incapable of doing much of anything. I know of what was told to me is a certain man who was described as a 24-karat alcoholic, that if there was going to be any work done, it had to be done in the morning, because at lunch he would be drinking and he's worthless for the rest of the day. All right. How do you keep a job like that? How do you keep a job? I'm not sure that you can. Poverty coming upon all that, drowsiness will clothe a man with rags. And this goes back to Proverbs 21:17. He who loves pleasure will be a poor man. He who loves wine and oil will not be rich. And this is if this is your approach to life, is your goal in life, then it is the goal of the foolish, is what it is. And foolishness takes more than one avenue. Okay, foolishness can run off in numerous ways. Now we come to this, verse 22. Listen to your father who begot you, and do not despise your mother when she is old. Now Proverbs 15:20, a foolish man despises his mother. All right, listen to your father. Don't despise your mother. And then we come to this: buy the truth and do not sell it. Sell it not. Also, buy the truth, also wisdom and instruction and an understanding. If in your getting, this is what you get. In your searching, this is what you search for. You're not searching for the next fix. You're not searching for the next drink. You're not searching for the next pleasure. You're not some kind of sensualness. You're not looking for the next feast. You're not looking for any of that. You are searching for the truth, wisdom, instruction, and understanding. And I'll just take a break right here. I've said it before, but for anyone who has missed any of the lessons, understand that wisdom is for everybody. It is for the common person and for the king. It is for the rich and for the poor. Wisdom is not limited to just Greek philosophers with large white beards and they're sitting in the market. It's not for them only. It is for them, but not for them only. And wisdom is not true wisdom. Doesn't have a whole lot of large vocabulary. It doesn't need it. You read philosophers and you're thinking, this guy's just bringing up big words so that we'd be impressed by him. Wisdom doesn't need big words at all. Wisdom isn't looking for those wearing togas and thinking deep thoughts by the fountain. It is for everybody. Everybody in this. So here, buy the truth and sell it not. The pearl of great price. The kingdom of heaven is like a merchant of pearls who, when he sees the pearl of great price, goes and sells everything he has to buy that one pearl. All right? Buy the truth. Get wisdom, get instruction, get understanding, and it says sell it not. Don't get rid of it. Keep it. Keep it. And here is work for this because it's worth everything. Work for this like you have worked for nothing else. Work for this and everything else will come well. Work for this and all will be good in your life because this has everything you need for it. Everything. Everything for being a proper spouse, proper parent, a proper child, a proper business person, for every kind of moral decision to keep yourself the person you're supposed to be. Now, we come to verse 24 and 25. The father of the righteous will greatly rejoice, and he who begets a child will delight in him. Well, this goes back up to verse 15. My son, if your heart is wise, my heart will rejoice. Indeed, I myself will do that. So, we'll repeat it again. A good father will rejoice when his child shows wisdom. Now, a foolish father might even then delight in a wise child. But if you can't tell with the foolish father might not delight in that at all. I know a particular man. He happens to be a preacher. His father was not a good man. Now his mother was, but his father was not a good man. The police were well acquainted with his father. And his father always, with a cynical view, thought his son could not be a righteous person. And always thought his son was committing adultery. Always thought his son was up to something. Why aren't you? I know you ought to be. Why aren't you doing it? Of course you're doing it. And I don't know if he convinced him or not. But you have this wicked father. He didn't want a child that was better than him. And of course he would have realized that. A son that is not going to jail. But a son that's actually showing some things that he did not possess. He refused wisdom, but his son did. His son did do that. And so there is this rejoicing that a child is doing well. Not doing well financially, that's all right, but doing well concerning wisdom and following the path of God. Following the way, bringing that word back. Following what God has given to every one of us. Verse 25, let your father and mother be glad, and let her who bore you rejoice. And they will rejoice. That is what they are going to do. But once again, a good father will do that. A wicked father or a wicked mother may not be doing that at all. You think Jezebel, one Athaliah to be among the righteous. I kind of doubt it. But I do know of as goes once again years ago, of a particular mom, worldly, and her daughter met a man, member of the church. She learns the gospel. She becomes a member of the church. And the mom complains that her daughter is different. She complains now that her daughter is not as feisty, it might have been her word, but another word would be argumentative. Another word would be disagreeable. Another word would be self-willed, that her daughter was developing a different character. And you're complaining about this? Why? Is this not the sort of child you wanted? Is it not? And as it turns out, in time she appreciated that here was one child who was doing right, the other three not so much. And learning that, this is the one that has a stable home. This is the one that you want to be around them, not the whirlwind around the others, but around this one. Now, verse 26, my son, give me your heart and let your eyes observe my ways. Leading by example, not just by words, but leading by example. What is it? I'd rather see a sermon than hear one any day. That's the truth. That's the truth. You have the self-righteous Pharisees that in all their bombast, in all their pomp, in all their look of super righteous, the way they would interpret it. And they were wicked men. They were wicked. They did things, of course, being described through the Gospels especially, with trying to destroy the Christ, being part of who put him on the cross, pulling the strings, and trying to rile up the common folks in the city or wherever they happen to be, spreading all kinds of things of he is a glutton and a wine bibber, saying all that. All right, but here is let your eyes observe my ways. This is a father who is saying, I am living this. I am living this. Look at what I'm doing. Look at it. Not only am I teaching you this, but I'm following that teaching. And this is a day for memories, I suppose. But I remember, once again, going way back, it was a mom angry at her son, and she said, why don't you ever go to church? They were arguing about something. And he laughed. And he said, because you never did. All right, well, that's it. He is following her example. He's doing it. He's following that. All right, so let your eyes observe my ways. As Paul states in 1 Corinthians 11 and verse 1, imitate me as I also imitate Christ. And that's not the only place you find those that sort of command of look at my ways, observe what I am doing, imitate that, do that. And going into verse 27, 28, we will save that for next week. We have some things that it's going to take just too long. So we're going to close down now. And I appreciate everybody being with us. And hopefully next week we can continue. Thank you.